that was the microcosm of the entire game is Martin gets the ball. I think it's maybe second or third down, and he gets hit direct, clean in the backfield. Linebacker right through the hole. Like, it is just the biggest collision of the game. Yeah. Martin absorbs it and then just sidesteps and gets the first down anyways. Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbin. With me is Jeff Dover. Let's talk football.
We're a couple of average football fans that watch college, the NFL. We hope to earn your like and subscribe today. This is our review of the BYU Cincinnati game. What are your initial thoughts?
One more to go.
Yeah. It's if Cincinnati could hold on to the ball or run it a little bit better, they would be a really scary team. But man, they can throw it, but that's about it, it seems like.
Well, and normally they can run it, but it's,
I know.
And that game, they missed 3 field goals. So I have some. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's the note I have here, is that Cincinnati had opportunities and didn't cash them in. You know, the 3 missed field goals doesn't help, right?
No,
like in a 12-point game. And so, and then there was a fourth down where they had to use a timeout because they were trying to sub players on, and the BYU could just jog off. That was a problem. But no, it was 10-7 at the half. Like, they had an opportunity to win this game, but they just couldn't stop LJ Martin, like, at all.
Not even a little bit. He ran right over them. He had 266 total yards, 222 on the ground, 2 TDs, 44 receiving. That was
222 yards with the long being 33 is pretty crazy, because normally when you're over 200, you have at least like a 50 or an 80-yard run in there somewhere. So that's like, he averaged almost 7 yards a carry and was getting it pretty much every carry. Like, that's nuts.
Just gashing them. Like, that is, even though the score was close, and yes, since he missed some field goals, when you can run like that, it's almost impossible to beat a team that can run like that.
Yeah, even though the score was close. And the reason why it didn't feel like this was ever really in doubt is because BYU had the ball 38 minutes and Cincinnati had it 21, which is a crazy differential. And Cincinnati is one of the worst in the league for time of possession. And I can see why. Like, they do sort of a pretty up-tempo type of offense, and there's a lot of passing, and there wasn't too much running in this game, so that it is going to stop the clock. And you're not going to have it for very long. But it's it's crazy that BYU had 392 yards of offense and Cincinnati had 387. Like, it was almost identical, but that time of possession is so different. 38 minutes to 21.
Yeah, they just hit a couple of big plays, and that's where all the yards accumulated. Actually, I think the broadcast said they're the worst in FBS in time of possession. They're like the absolute worst. Yeah. And they stuck to that script here too. They just could not hold on to the ball. It's just a lot of nothing and then a big play, and then a lot of nothing and then a big play. Yeah. So, I mean, there are other miscues. The broadcast actually pointed out they fumbled the ball on the 12-yard line when that receiver's leg got twisted.
Yeah.
And he felt the pinch right at that moment, and at that point, I guess the pain takes over, and securing the ball for like another half second was less important than just, I think it's involuntary. Like, you probably can't resist the urge to like let go and kind of focus on your leg when it's twisting like that.
Yeah. Although the other point that I think would be different is there was a time with Sadiq in the Oregon game where he went into the end zone. He was holding onto the ball. He was up on the top of his head on the ground, and he was still holding the ball, and then eventually came back down. And I'm like, that's how you hold on to the ball. Like, it doesn't matter if if you haven't listened to our Oregon USC review, go back and listen to that. But he was amazing in that game too. So.
Yeah, well, whatever it was, that's probably the first time I've ever seen that, where he let go of the ball purely because he's in a moment of acute pain, and maybe even thought maybe that, like, this is like break a knee type pain, not just regular pain, especially when you sense your leg is twisting. Like, you probably think, oh no, I know any further and something's going here. So it's just super unfortunate, because I mean, that was right there. That was super, super close, but good for the BYU defenders to pick that ball up. If they don't pick it up and it's not, what do they call a clear recovery by the defense, that may just still be Cincinnati's ball in that moment.
Yep. No, that was a huge play. And Cincinnati's kicker's good. Like over the course of the season, he's played well. And so, but 0 for 3, that really changes the game script. Like if you're tied or like up by 3 in the start of the second half, like that feels real different than, being down by a touchdown or more, like especially when BYU's holding on the ball as much as they were. So that was a huge deal.
Yeah, and the other thing here I have is Cincinnati got stopped on 4th and 1 on the 3-yard line, so that was a
Yeah.
huge stop by BYU. Now, at the time of the game, I don't think they realize it's going to be somewhat of a tight game, and that's like a pivotal play to take any points off the board. I mean, well, we don't know if he could have even hit a field goal from that deep in, but at least it would have been closer.
Yeah.
And
No,
like
and
you
it
said,
would,
he's
and
not
it,
a bad kicker.
yeah, no, and at the time, like again, hindsight's always 2020. They don't realize that how much BYU is going to hold on the ball after this and like not give it back and go on for a long drive after stopping them there. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's I like the aggressiveness of it and trying to go for it. They were, Sorsby was the team leading rusher with 38 yards, and Pryor only had 36 yards with 7 carries. Like they weren't running it effectively enough to make a difference here.
Especially when the other team's running all over the
Oh,
place, up and down the field. He was getting 6 and 7 yards on first down every first down.
yeah. And the only reason why I didn't have more is they had to sub him out because he was tired. Like I'm positive like that if he played every snap, he would have like just kept he would have had 300 yards rushing. Like it was just but he was like he was running, he had 32 carries. Like that's a lot in college.
I think the broadcast might have been indicating this might be the most, like, this is a game where he's fully healthy. Like, I guess he's
Yeah.
been dealing with nagging stuff all year, but if that's the type of performance you can get out of Martin, geez, like that
Yeah.
is a difference making type of player. That's an NFL running back right there.
Well, and he was the leading receiver too. He had 44 yards as the most receiving yards on the team. But yeah, and we've talked before a lot about, certain teams being one dimensional if you can't do one thing like that. But this was a great example of like passing often enough to keep the defense honest, that because he had 25 pass attempts, he only completed 15 for 127 yards, Bear Bachmeyer. But like that was, it never felt like their passing game was that bad. It was just the running game was that good.
Now, in this case, I think they felt the absence of Chase Roberts when he got hurt, because
Mm.
this offense is way more dynamic than this.
Hmm.
And I thought, like, towards the end of the game, I thought, how come this isn't the BYU offense that I'm used to seeing?
Hmm.
And then I just was like thinking, what's going? Oh, right, Roberts isn't there. Like
Hmm.
I think he's their best receiver. So without him, when you take one major piece off the board with the way the offense is supposed to be structured,
Hmm.
that changes the dynamic on the defense. That changes where your choices are. That changes who's open. That changes who's covering who.
Yeah.
And if he's, it's they're not like USC where they have 3 NFL receivers and you just pick which one you want and they're always open. And not to say that the players on BYU aren't good, but the way this offense is constructed, it seems to me that in this game they felt the absence of Roberts, and it changed how dynamic the offense was. Even if you could just steamroll them on the ground game, it would have
Hmm.
been nice to have another receiver out there spreading the defense out behind that run game.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. I think Parker Kingston is a good wide receiver too. And there's something to that, like you don't have to be the guy. You don't have to be the guy that gets open and for third down in order to get the conversion. That's why the other wide receiver is so good. And so he's not as a good as wide receiver 1. And, Ryan is a good tight end, but he's not a go-to guy. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's a key point, which is because you're a good wide receiver 2 doesn't mean you're a good wide receiver 1. And
Mm-hmm.
they missed it when he was out.
And Ryan and Kingston both, I distinctly remember both of them catching a ball and having it immediately punched out of their hands.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I thought, especially for Ryan, I'm like, you're twice the size of the guy who did that to you. and RG3 said, you got to bring that in. I think he said like violently, like you got to know someone's attempting to get that out of your, because you've completed the catch, but it's not done until you secure it.
Yeah.
And I thought, you're way bigger than that guy. That shouldn't come out of your hands that easily.
No.
And afterwards, you could see on the sideline, he was super frustrated with himself. And then a couple of plays later, he catches it and then just drags like 3 guys with him for a first down. I think you could tell he's like, okay, I'm not dropping this one, and you're coming with me. Like, I'm going for the first down, no matter how many of you are out there. It's just a reminder that, damn, Like having your best receiving threat out there to complement what is also out there would just have been. I think there would have been more room out there. And you're right. Maybe Martin would go for even more if the pass game was even a bigger threat than it was.
Can't imagine that, but it's and again, BYU's defense looked really good. Cincinnati didn't have a good answer running the ball, even though they threw for 300 yards. It took 38 pass attempts in order to do it. Sorsby's really good. Like Sorsby,
Oh yeah,
they could sling it. They had their offense doesn't hold it very long, but they get quick passes, and he can make all the throws, and so he's pretty talented. But again, they still held them to 14 points. It would have been different if they had the 3 field goals. But the BYU's defense is really good. I had a note here: 54 is one of the linebackers that just looked like he was tearing it up. He didn't have too many tackles, it doesn't look like, in the box score, but he was all over the place. And it was their defense is between Martin running the ball, the BYU's defense, I think, is the second story of this game.
Well, yeah. Because Cincinnati's offense is no joke, and I think Sorsby accounted for 31 touchdowns coming into this game. Like that's not nothing. That's serious. That's serious production. So I don't think a lot of people were paying attention to Cincinnati throughout the year, but that opening game against Nebraska, they 100% could have won that game. There's a couple of weird play calls there, so they could.
Then they won 7 in a row. So
right, and it could have and should have been 8 if they beat Nebraska. And I happened to watch that game, or I think we covered that game, and it was a couple of weird play calls. So they could have easily been 8-0 to start the season, and they just weren't necessarily. Now maybe they were on Big 12 fans' radars, knowing that, oh man, this team cannot be overlooked, and that crowd was going bananas too. Like that was that. As the game started, I thought, oh, they're in for it here. This is going to be tougher than maybe some fans think. Some BYU fans might think, oh, this. I don't think they were overlooking them per se, but my perception is Cincinnati wasn't on a lot of teams' radars the way a game against Texas Tech or Utah, you'd be like, okay, this is one of the peak games in the schedule. I don't know if too many people were really thinking Cincinnati was one of the peak games, but Cincinnati is a tough team, and that environment was outstanding. Good for the fans for bringing it there. That felt like a playoff game the whole way.
Yeah, and it was a little unfortunate about the loss to Arizona last week, because if that didn't happen, I think this would have had maybe more national attention. That would have really helped Cincinnati a bit more. But they're a really good team. They just came up short. They didn't take advantage. They needed to take advantage of the field goals. They needed to take advantage of any turnover they have. But man, they just couldn't stop the run. And that was those two things. It's going to be really hard to win a game.
Yeah, and they have a couple bad mistakes here, like jumping offside to give them a first down on a punt. Now again, this was part of the story of BYU only gets a field goal on that. Like yes, they made them pay, but it's still like you would. I'm sure BYU fans see some missed opportunities here where they ended drives that could have been more points that ended up in field goals where it could have been something more. So there was points left on the table for both teams. Let's say it that way. That's definitely a thing here. One of the crazier plays was the punt return where he fielded it on
like a shortstop. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's off the bounce.
Yeah. I think that totally caught the BYU special teams players off guard, because as it was bouncing, the rule is you don't field it on a nice easy one where no one's around you. He was in a crowd, and that ball was firing right at his knees, and he picked it up. You know what? That's a real heads up play, because maybe that guy realized, like, we're in trouble here. I don't think they're driving the field. I do not think since he's driving the field there, if he just lets it go.
No.
So maybe he sensed the urgency there.
Yeah, and you never see that because it was landing short. So he's yelling for everyone to get away from it. He's pointing at it as it's landing, and it's just because it bounces forward and hits him like in the ankle. It doesn't hit him. It's going toward his ankle. So I feel like it was more of a protective thing at that point, because all of a sudden it's in his hands, and BYU was not in a good position to stop it, because because they hear it too. When the BYU players are looking for the ball, and the Cincinnati guys going like, get away, or Peter, whatever they say to get away from it. And then that's so they're not in a position to stop. But then, man, did he come? He had 57 yards. Like that's one of their bigger plays of the game.
Well, then it was just 2 plays and a touchdown right after that.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. Where is the time of possession here? Well, on one of Cincinnati's scoring drives, it's less than a minute because it was a big punt return, 2 plays, touchdown. So it's hard to be a consistent winning team when you never possess the ball. Like
no, I know
that's weird.
Your defense has to be on point. Your defense has to know it's going to be on the field a long time, and you can't lose the turnover battle when you're that short, when you're that either however you want to look at it, efficient on offense or quick or up tempo, like not ball control, the opposite of that, whatever that is on offense. Then the whole team's got to play around that. So which is a tough position to put them in.
Yeah, it's a good example of if people don't ever think about why does ball control matter. Well, this is why. Your defense. Example. I mean, BYU just was grinding them down on the ground, and it got. They were more effective and gaining even more yards in the second half. I have a note here saying Martin's going for at least 7 yards on first down every first down. Like there's just no way you can't win a game when they're going for that many yards on first down.
No, when you get that many yards on first down, then defense doesn't know what's coming on second down because it's so manageable, right? You can run again for another first down, you can pass, you can take a shot knowing you only have to get 3 yards on the third down play, everything's in front of you. It's just really hard to defend at that point. So yeah, and that's a good point because again, Cincinnati had almost the same number of yards as BYU, but it did not feel like that watching this game because BYU had it all of the time.
And okay, so here it's 2014, 4:37 left in the game. BYU's driving. I'm sure everyone can remember this. Martin gets up pretty slowly after a second down run. Then I have a note here saying he just keeps getting 7 yards on first down. Then at one point, BYU has to take a timeout because they can't get a line correctly. Yeah. And you remember the coach just leaning into Tiger Bachmeier? Like they just couldn't find their way to which receivers on the line, which receivers off the line. And you could see how furious the coach is. Like we are 4 minutes left in what now is all of a sudden a 1-score game. We're driving the ball. We cannot take procedural penalties here. Like that's just opening the door to Cincinnati to complete get them really back into this game. And so I could see how he's furious. Also at that moment, timeouts are so important at an end of a game. You should never, ever need to take a timeout for a procedural, like to not get lined up. That's not what timeouts are for.
No, for sure. And if and just so people listening, if Barban called him Tiger Bachmeier, that's also a good nickname compared to Bear Bachmeier. So to your point, I really remember that with Cincinnati. So Cincinnati went for it on fourth down. They had the jumbo package in there. They got it, but then they had to switch the personnel to play like their regular offense. And that gave BYU a chance to switch their personnel. And then Cincinnati had to burn a timeout in order to do that, which is an absolute killer. And Sorsby looked incensed, on the field and coming off the sideline. Like, what are you doing? But I feel like he's got to know they can't just run the regular offense with that big personnel. Like he slings it around. Like they did not have that personnel in the field. So yeah, they had to change it, which sucks. But like but yeah, anyway, it's like he didn't see that coming or something. I don't know.
Well, I can see him getting frustrated because Sataki, to his credit, was slow playing the substitutions, so when I first saw this happen, I guess a couple of years ago or whenever it first started, where people would like slow play the substitution, I would always get mad at the defending team doing that. Then my perception of it started to shift. If the offensive team takes too long into the play call to make their substitution, they've brought it on themselves. Like if you don't give the defense the opportunity to do that, get your sub in and out fast. Yeah. And in this case, since he did it repeatedly, where they took maybe a bit too long to decide on their sub, and then at that point, you're just inviting the other team to be like, hey, you're going to chew up half the play clock with your substitutions. Well, so are we. Like you can't have it both ways.
No,
like if you're not quick, we're not quick.
That's what drives me nuts, though, when the offensive team makes substitution in plenty of time, and the defense is really walking to the sideline. Like that drives me nuts because but if you're jogging and you still like they run out of time or something, then that's like you said, that's on the offense. That means you had to switch it sooner. And so, and then good point in here, like this was a 4th down play for Cincinnati. They're using the large personnel. They know they're subbing as soon as they get it. They know they're subbing it. So why that personnel wasn't immediately running on the field as soon as they got the first down, that's a Cincinnati mistake.
Yep. And Sataki has been doing it all game. You know, if you're gonna take your time changing, so is he. He's just gonna get away with what he can get away with. But any good coach would.
Yeah, and I didn't look at it as getting like they were still semi hustling off the field. Like it wasn't. I didn't think it was egregiously slow. So like there, and so that is just Cincinnati just not doing it quick enough. So
yeah,
I don't begrudge BYU at all.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean the speed at which they made the change, but if you chew up half on offense, if you chew up half the play clock to decide to make the change,
yeah,
he's got every right to chew up the other half.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you can't force him to sprint
right.
when you took up half the clock making your decision. Anyways,
good point.
But on that drive, we still got 4 minutes. This is the final touchdown that Martin got. To me, the moment in the game that was the microcosm of the entire game is Martin gets the ball. I think it's maybe 2nd or 3rd down, and he gets hit direct, clean in the backfield, linebacker right through the hole. Like it is just the biggest collision of the game. Yeah. Martin absorbs it and then just sidesteps and gets the first down anyways. And to me, that was the whole game was encapsulated in that moment. It's like, you can't stop this guy. He took your best shot in the backfield for a loss. It didn't faze him at all. And he just kept going, got the first down anyways. And I could see how as Cincinnati's fans, like, well, that's all we got. Like we got him, we got a clean shot. We got a clean unblocked shot on him in the backfield. And he hit him with everything he had. And these are 2 very large people hitting each. It's not like it's an undersized guy. He hit him so hard. Martin just absorbed it completely. It barely fazed him. Like he just absorbed it sideways, first down, and I thought, oh, that's it. That's that. If you were going to tell someone how this game goes, is just watch this one play. That's what the game was.
Yeah, and I think that I feel like that happened a few times in the second half. And I really, the note that I had here was that his last touchdown that Martin got, it looked like Cincinnati's defense wanted no part of him. Like, because that was either the weakest tackling effort, or I don't even think it's weak tackling effort. I think it was just they were worn down. Like they couldn't stop him all game, and it was, and that last touchdown, it was like, oh man, he's made it look easy now, considering how punishing he's been all day. So
well, think about it. Between him and Bachmeier, like Martin's the smaller one you have to tackle. Isn't that that's crazy?
That is crazy.
So you're right. At some point towards the and on this play, that one where he absorbs that hit in the backfield and keeps going, we're under 4 minutes, I guess, in the game at this point. They've been putting up with this battering ram all game long. And to their credit, I mean, they're still fighting, but you're right. It might be not that they gave up or anything, but physically they're just beat down at this point. They're just physically beat down
and tired, like because BYU's had the ball the whole game, and you just can't keep stopping it. But Martin we've talked about it before. If coaches could just run the ball every play, like they would, and this is what it looks like.
Yeah. Well, like what Notre Dame did to Syracuse. I think they passed like for 6 or 7 passes, but they ran for 350 yards.
At the end of this game, I was surprised Bachmeier had 25 pass attempts. It felt like they ran the whole time.
Well, because the run was so effective. Now, on that note, Bachmeier took a bad hit.
Oh yeah, he did.
And
he looked like he had a shoulder thing.
Oh yeah, he was. I do not like the way that looked.
No,
you can't do that. I get the fact that he's a truck and part of his game is running, but on all of his like effective runs, he never gets hit this hard.
No,
this is a
throwing shoulder too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's running laterally. You're not getting any more yards. Like I get it's built into their psyche that they just can't concede. But if this guy, which I think is a Heisman caliber in his future, in the next 3 years, he's got all the pieces. This is Tebow, but with a much better throwing motion and a better grasp of the pass game. That's what he is to me anyways. You can't put your body in harm's way. I know you're huge. Even the biggest guys still get hurt, and that you can't. It's different if you're crossing the goal line and you're meeting a linebacker or safety in the hole for the game-winning touchdown in a I don't know, in a championship game clinching play, yeah, you give up your body. Here, you're running laterally, you're dead to rights. 2 guys are on you. Like you're done. Like you're not getting any more yards. You're not getting to the sideline. You're not doing anything. And you take a hit that afterwards, like as of time of recording, we don't have any reports on. I mean, obviously he finished the game, but we don't have any reports if that's a nagging injury that needs a look. But the point is, you're sacrificing your body for nothing. Like for nothing. You're not gaining anything, and all you might do is take yourself out of the game, if not the rest of the season. Yeah. So I'm sure the coaches and training staff are talking to him about it, and I'm sure BYU fans were holding their breath when he was going to the sidelines, wincing that badly.
It was a pretty bad wince.
Oh yeah, because you know how tough he is, you know how big he is. So for him to show that, and when it hurts that bad, you can't keep it in. Like if it hurts that bad, it just comes out on your face. You're the leader of the team. You can't let that happen to yourself in a way where now all of a sudden people are thinking, oh no, is he compromised now? So, I know you're not watching this, but if you are, take care of your body, Bear. Like you can't do that. Like you're bad. Exactly. You're worth more than whatever that hit game, whatever that run was going to get you. You're worth way, way more than getting another yard.
Well, and there was a good point because on the commentating was RG3, who really was probably one of the prototypical, like, don't get hit when you're running, and that because that's altered his career kind of a guy, so he was really sensitive to it when he saw that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And RG3 does not have the body Bachmeier has. Like he's much more fragile.
Track body. Yeah.
Right.
Not there's anything wrong with track bodies, but
it's just to absorb a hit. Even a guy as big as Bachmeier is eventually going to get hurt if he just takes too many hits. And that's just that to me, that stuck out in my head. I'm like, oh, he better be healthy for next game. Like he can't keep doing that. So, overall, okay. So what can we say about both teams? Cincinnati, that actually was a pretty good season. I mean, it's not over, but their chances at the championship game is sort of just disappeared in that game, which is kind of too bad because they came along and sort of over the season became a story that the story would have been completed if they won last week and win or lose this game. I think you're right. It would have been a much more national attention on this game if they didn't drop that game last week, but they're headed in the right direction right now.
Yeah, if you said at the beginning of the season, Cincinnati would be at this point and be ahead of Iowa State, Kansas State, TCU, and Baylor, like you would have taken it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then on the BYU side of things, also as of time of recording, we don't have any report on Roberts. Like, is he where he's at with whatever happened to him as far as an injury. No, but as far as Martin and Bachmeier, Martin's going to need to be in the ice bath for a little while here. I don't think he got injured or anything, but holy smokes, that amount of carries and just the beating he took, and he laid out on people. That's just Jesus. Is he ever good? And then Bachmeier just can't take hits like that. Like they're favored in their next game as long as they don't. Yeah. The only way they lose next game is if they beat themselves.
Yeah, but for both BYU and Texas Tech, because Texas Tech's at West Virginia and BYU's got UCF. So, if they both hopefully should take care of business, because I want to see a BYU Texas Tech rematch. Then
absolutely. Yeah. Everybody wants to see that. And I think BYU wants that. I've read some articles.
Yeah, absolutely.
They want them again. They want to prove that's not who they were. And I think they're better than the showing they had in that game. So that's where we're headed. If they hold serve and Tech hold serve, that we're going to get that rematch, which I think is going to be an outstanding game. And hopefully they show up healthy. Hopefully Roberts is healthy, and whatever happened to Bachmeier, hopefully that's just a little whatever, a pinch here that's not going to persist into next week.
No.
I mean, if they can get ahead in that game, maybe they can sit him and get him some rest. But man, what a performance by Martin. Jesus, he was just a complete machine.
Unstoppable.
Totally unstoppable. All right. Is that all you got on your notes?
Yeah.
All right. That's all I got too. All right. So, if you're still with us, we appreciate you checking out our channel. We know it's small. We just started it last year. So if you like what we have going on and you'd like to support us, subscribe and a like goes a long way, and we'd really appreciate it. So for Jeff Dover, I'm John Barbin, and that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.